What up? What up? This is From Beyond The Paign, a Illinois basketball podcast, and Illinois has once again won a home in conference matchup. What I say in the last show, Illinois 32-8 in home matchups against Big Ten teams the last 4 years. Make that 33-8 now, I believe. So again, Illinois wins 71-68. It was a nail biter. It was disgusting. Honestly, this game was not fun to watch in some aspect. And I say that, and it was a game of runs. It was definitely a game of runs. At one point, Illinois was on a 17-4 run, looked like they're about to run away with the game. And then Michigan State makes a late comeback only to fall short, similar to Illinois falling short against Purdue last week. So feels like Illinois was due one after how they played against Purdue in some aspects. But I will say Michigan State had every chance to win that game. Luke Goody missing that free throw at the very end, and then being able to get down and get a three off with a chance to tie and go to overtime. It was scary, but I think the story of this game, the story of this game was the free throw discrepancy, and also just the fact that Illinois made theirs. Sure, I'm not going to sit here and ignore the difference in free throws in this game. Michigan State shot 7. Illinois shot 22. So if Spartan fans want to be pissed that they didn't get any foul calls, I can't necessarily sit here and blame them in some aspects. So that is what it is. It was a very tight game, though. I felt like the second half, the refs definitely called more fouls because at halftime, Michigan State had been called for 6 fouls and Illinois had been called for 3. And we finished 15-10 in the foul category. Michigan State with 15, Illinois with 10. So, whatever. If you want to argue about fouls, no calls and this and that, sure. In some aspects, I don't blame you. I know if I was a Michigan State fan, I would be looking at that stat, that category, and wondering what the fuck were the refs thinking tonight. They had a few drives down there that I was surprised they didn't call fouls on, but overall, I felt like Michigan State did live out outside the paint, or if they did get looks inside, they had some easy layups. I thought Illinois wasn't nearly as good on the inside as I've seen them in recent games, just on the eye test alone. But I did feel like they defended when they absolutely needed to defend, and that's something that this team has done all year. They defended when they absolutely needed to defend, and they hit shots when they absolutely needed to hit shots. Early in the second half, I felt like Hogard for Michigan State got hot, hit a few shots for them, hit a 3 that put them up 6-7 points. And then Marcus Domask, who struggled in the first half, finally goes down, somehow gets a quick layup, hits a 3 right after to kind of answer back to the early run of the second half made by Michigan State. And that's when Illinois started going on a run. Quincy Guerrier, who was quiet in the first half, he hit a few shots, and that kind of helped Illinois' offense overall. But for Illinois' offense tonight, for a team that had five guys in double figures, it was tough to watch at times. For the game, the team shot 41% from the field, 41.8 if you want to be technical, and they shot 33% from the 3-point line, 7-21 tonight. They had a couple 3-point shot attempts I did not like. A few from Coleman Hawkins, one off a pick and pop late in the game, I think under the 4-minute mark that I didn't like. He had one off a dribble that I didn't like, but he still managed to go 3 of 5 from the 3-point line. So the 2 that I'm thinking of. So overall, most of his 3-point shots were in rhythm. And honestly, he's the story of this game and why Illinois won, in my opinion. Not just because he put 15 points scored 15 points. New Year, same me in the chat. Coleman got that dog in him. Yeah, he had a hell of a game tonight, and it was more so he made his impact defensively. 4 blocks tonight, 2 steals, 7 rebounds. He added 2 assists as well. Almost drew a charge there at the end of the game that might have changed it, but it was called for a blocking foul. He was all over the place defensively tonight. He basically was able to switch onto anyone from Michigan State, and he was a matchup nightmare for the Spartans. There's no doubt about it. To me, he was the key to Illinois winning. Ty Rodgers, bounce back game for Ty Rodgers, 15 points tonight. He had 5 assists, 6 rebounds, most of that all coming in the second half. He started the game kind of hot, hit first 4 shots, all layups. And it was surprising based off the game he had against Purdue, right? I think a lot of people were down on him coming into this game because he played so bad against Purdue, and Michigan State did the same thing. They put Sissoko on him to start the game, and he just came out a little bit more aggressive than I've seen him in most games. He always is, just kind of going through the flow of the offense, but it felt like he was a little bit more aggressive to start this game, and perhaps he felt the need to be since Marcus Domask started slow because Quincy Guerrier didn't exactly get shots that he normally takes open. He was a spark that Illinois needed early in the game because they weren't making anything, and thankfully Michigan State really wasn't either. So those two to me were the kings of this game. If you wanted me to rank them or give you the player of the game, I think it's between both of those guys tonight. But they needed Marcus Domask to show up in the second half, and he did. He finishes with 15 points. I think he had 2 points in the first half. He got it going mid in the middle of the second half, and they absolutely needed to. I kind of alluded to it earlier with the 2 shots that he hit when Michigan State was kind of going on a run, had Illinois on their heels. He is finding a way. And at the end of the game, they ran a high screen and roll, him and Coleman Hawkins. And if that is what they're going to do in close in the game situations, I'm all for it. I love watching it. It's such a matchup nightmare for the other team. And he was able, the one time they ran it in the final minute and a half, he drew a foul, was able to go to the free throw line, knock down 2 free throws. So I like, with no Terrence Shannon on this team, I like that play call in the game situations. So it's kind of pick your poison. You want Domask to go down there and drive and make a layup, or do you want Coleman Hawkins to make an open 3? So it's not exactly the easiest thing to deal with, right? So I was really pleased with those 2 tonight, or those 3 tonight. Those are second half for Domask for sure was the big thing, but Hawkins and Rodgers were huge. So we are about 8 minutes in. If you're watching on YouTube, man, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new here. If you hit the like button, it helps other Illini fans find the stream. And maybe they'll subscribe. I hope you do, just because I'm just like y'all, just another Illinois basketball fan. Illinois now 12-3 on the season, improved to what? 3-1, 4-1. I don't know. Let me look it up. I'm looking it up right now. Standings. Here we go. Illinois, 3-1 in conference play, right there, right behind Wisconsin, who is 4-0. Surprisingly, Minnesota 3-1, right behind Illinois. We'll see how that lasts moving forward. And then Northwestern and Nebraska. Purdue with 2 losses, with that loss to Nebraska this week, is a game and a half, or a half game back from Illinois, a game and a half back at the top of the Big Ten. So obviously a lot of games to be played, a lot of conference seasons still to go. But like I think I said in the preview show yesterday, what do you call it? Big Ten home teams in the Big Ten this year, 21-6 against conference opponents. So, or something like that, or just in general. I think it's up against conference opponents. That would make sense. So that trend continues. I won't sit here and say that the Illinois played the perfect game. That's for sure. They did not. They had every chance to lose this game and it'd be a god-awful loss based off how they had a lead in the final 10 minutes, and if they were to blow it, it would have been a really bad loss in my opinion. But this team is older. They made their free throws at the very end, which is so key. It's something that I feel like for years and years and years has always bothered me with this program, the inability to make free throws. But again, they went 18 for 21 from the free throw line tonight. Hats off to them. One of those misses were from Dane Danger, who only played 5 minutes. Luke Goody, they went 18 for 22 from free throw line. Luke Goody missed that last free throw that would have put the game out of reach, and thankfully Hogard missed that 3. But yeah, man, I think the free throw category pretty much sums up this game. I was, this was a grinded out. This was classic Big Ten grinded out, defense, hit big shots when you can. I felt like that after 10 minutes in the first half, because the first 10 minutes of the game, Illinois wasn't hitting any of their 3-point shot attempts. They weren't, their offense, they couldn't answer Michigan State's defense. Every time Domask would try and go down the post, they double team him, and there are a few times he turned it over. There are a few times that he just didn't get a good shot off it, ended up having to pass out, and they would have a wide open 3, but they would miss it, something like that. Yeah, man, like they Michigan State played great defense tonight against what Illinois likes to do, which is take Domask down into the post and try and create something that way. But I think one name that I haven't mentioned yet that was huge, Justin Harmon, off the bench, 10 points. They only went 2 deep off the bench tonight. So they went 7 deep total tonight, but Justin Harmon, 10 points off the bench, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 of 4 from 3. He hit the 2 threes he hit were huge in terms of momentum. He has continued to excel with this team since Terrence Shannon went down. So, yeah, I mean, and they needed it because Luke Goody didn't exactly have a great game. He had 6 rebounds and, played good defense, but he didn't make any threes tonight. They needed Justin Harmon. They needed Justin Harmon to show up and perform, and he did. So a lot of credit to him. I felt like he played good defense on Tyson Walker at the end of the game. I'm curious to people's thoughts on Tyson Walker's last shot of the game before Luke Goody got fouled. Because they dribbled, I think it was Domask who hit 2 free throws to make it a 3-point game. Illinois led by 3. Michigan State inbounds it. They dribble it to half court. They call a timeout. Tom Izzo draws up a play, I guess, and it just ends up being Tyson Walker at the top of the key, making a few dribble moves, and then jacks up a 3 with Justin Harmon on him. And I'm like, y'all called a timeout for that? I thought that's how they lost the game, honestly. There was still enough time. He could have drove and at least kicked for an open 3, or drove, maybe draw a foul, shoot 2 free throws, put pressure on Illinois to make free throws again. I just thought that was a really bad shot, personally. They could have got a better shot than that. I say that, and Tyson Walker had a good game, at least for them in terms of scoring. He led the team in scoring 17 points. He did have to jack it up 17 times, so 8 of 17 to score 17 points isn't great. You want 1 for 7 from 3. So yeah, I mean I mentioned Illinois going 7 for 21 from 3. They didn't shoot well from 3 either. 5 of 19. 5 of 19 from 3, 5 of 7 from the free throw line. That's how you lose games. But because they rebounded so well, they had a handful of offensive rebounds. 13 offensive rebounds for Michigan State tonight. That's 5 less than what Purdue got in the last game. It's starting to become an issue with me. Like, I know Illinois is playing small. I know they're trying to play fast and all these things, but they got to find a way to stop allowing all these offensive rebounds, or it's going to be something that hurts them late in the year. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. But Tyson Walker, he was, as New Year's saying, me in the chat is saying, can't wait for Tyson Walker to be done after this year. Yes, because he's annoying. He's annoying, and he's a really good player. I can't wait for him to be gone either. But Hogard also was great, and so was Atkins. They had 4 guys double figures. They went 4 deep off the bench tonight, only 4 points combined. So, yeah, I don't know. I was looking forward to Tom Izzo perhaps throwing a fit in post game, and unless I'm reading these quotes wrong, I don't think he did. And I must say, I have to give him some credit. This is from Jeremy Werner from Illini Inquirer. And this is a Tom Izzo quote. The difference in the game was the free throw line. The discrepancy was a little bit tough. He went on to complain that his bigs didn't do nothing and missed too many layups. Quote, they're a good team in relation to Illinois. So maybe he is. I don't take that as him complaining. Maybe he is. I don't know. But he had a lot of good things to say about Illinois, and I will give him credit for that. He said, I thought our effort was 10 times more than at Northwestern, which is critical because it means guys are listening, but disappointed in another loss. And that's what scared me. I said that in the pregame, or not pregame, but preview show yesterday. Michigan State coming off that loss at Northwestern. They traveled down to Champaign, knowing that they've lost 3 in a row to Illinois the last however many years. They're due for a win. Tom Izzo. Yeah. So for Illinois to pull this one out somehow, some way, they grinded it out, but it was a huge win in those terms. So, yeah, I can't get enough of, how this team just found a way. Sometimes you just got to win somehow, some way. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't always have to look, fancy, whatever you want to call it. This was a classic Big Ten, just ground and pound. It was almost like a Big Ten football game in some ways, right? I just felt like it was a defensive minded game, and whoever hit the most clutch shots were going to win. And I felt like Illinois did that. So, so anyway, I don't think Brad Underwood has begun to talk to the media yet, or else Warner might have some of these tweets out. But Tom Izzo did say about Coleman Hawkins on his improved shooting. Honestly, I think I just stopped caring and just shoot the ball. Honestly, I think I just stopped caring and just shoot the ball. I think he meant to put, I think he just stopped caring and just shot the ball. I mean, maybe that's something. I don't know. But he had a lot of good things to say about Illinois, and I'll give him some credit there. And he is someone who complains way too much, it feels like sometimes. I like this quote from Coleman Hawkins that Jeremy Werner tweeted. I saw people say our season was cooked on Twitter. That was a slap in the face. Shows maturity from us, not listening to people and going out and still doing well. Coleman Hawkins on social media, bro. Like, the tweet he sent after Purdue lost in Nebraska was funny. He's a diehard Bears fan, which I am too, and so he's going through the ups and downs of the pain being a Bears fan. He does definitely take some shits personally when it comes to people being down on this team. If anyone actually thought this team was cooked after that loss to Purdue, they don't know ball. They don't know that, there's still 2 months to play before March. That was a tough game and they didn't pull it out, but to bounce back tonight against a really tough Michigan State team, I'm again, to just find a way to get it done is the biggest takeaway that I'll take from this game. It wasn't pretty, but they figured it out. They found a way. New Year, same me in the chat. Gonna be the same with Maryland. Yeah, Maryland pulled out a nice win against Michigan tonight. And when I say a nice win, it's a win that they should win. I think Michigan's now lost 5 in a row, and I hope Juwan Howard is still coaching when Illinois plays them on the 18th. They're not good, so it's kind of, take it with a grain of salt. I can't believe Michigan somehow, some way beat St. John's. But they Maryland, every time Illinois and Maryland meet up, it is a tough game. And listen, after they beat Mizzou, I said in the next 5-game stretch, I wanted Illinois to go 4-1. So they have a chance to do that. They're 3-1 over the stretch since they beat Mizzou. They beat Fairleigh Dickinson. They beat Northwestern. Unfortunately, lost to Purdue, but then they bounced back tonight against Michigan State and won the game. So 3-1 over this 5-game stretch that I've hinted at over the last handful of shows. So I don't got a lot to complain about in this game other than, sometimes it feels like this team can, how do I say it? Sometimes it feels like they can get in their own way. It feels like I feel like there were times in this game tonight where they got in their own way and then Michigan State just took advantage of their own mistakes. And the thing is that they didn't turn the ball over a ton, right? They turned the ball over 8 times. They turned the ball over 8 times. Like it wasn't like they played a bad game. It's not like they had 20 turnovers. We've seen that movie before plenty of times, right? But they played a clean game in terms of taking care of the ball. But it feels like when they do turn the ball over, sometimes it can be a domino effect where they turn the ball over, then whoever goes down hits a shot, then Illinois misses, and then they hit another shot. And I felt like that's how the game of runs happened tonight in this one tonight. So, yeah, man, at the end of the day, they pulled it out. They won a game that honestly they should have won. They won a game that, you knew was going to be tough. You knew Michigan State was going to come into State Farm Center and give Illinois their best effort, especially with a coach like Tom Izzo. So I'm pretty proud of the team in that aspect. And, there's still a lot to clean up. And also, I will say this, like no DGL tonight. You want me to complain about something? I don't. Why is Dre Gibbs Lawhorn not playing tonight? I thought he played so well defensively at Purdue that he should have earned some run tonight. Even Brad Underwood was quoted yesterday talking about how his defense against Purdue was a highlight in that game. To not get any run tonight at all, like, is it matchups? Is it, like, did he do something? Like, what? I don't know. And I looked up at game time, and I didn't do this during the live stream, but I did look up after the game. Like, it turns out that Hansberry and Moretti were out again. So Moretti is practicing, so hopefully he's back for the Maryland game. But they were game time decisions, and they just decided to not play them due to injury. But when you're this thin at the roster with missing those 3 guys, the fact that Brad didn't play DGL is just head scratching to me at this point. Like, he'd been getting some run in recent games and got none tonight. Like, what did he do? How did he get put in the doghouse? I would like to know, Brad. I love you. I do. I stand you, but I just would like to know why DGL gets no run. So maybe he will maybe someone will ask him in post game and he will reveal that. Jeremy has started to tweet some of his quotes. What did he say? Here we go. This is from Brad Underwood. What you thought a game against Michigan State would be, maybe not the prettiest game, but I'm really happy and pleased with our guys. That's it. Yeah, I get it. I agree. That's basically what it was. Him on Ty Rodgers. Ty was really, really aggressive in the first half and in a really good place. We've seen that so much. Unless you're 7'5" and Zach Edey, it hasn't worked that well. Yeah, Zach Edey is just a different animal, right? Like, I knew that they needed to find a way to counter the effect of another team putting their center on Ty Rodgers. And in some aspects, they did early in the game. Second half, with the way Michigan State started the second half, we were doing the live stream, and 3 minutes in, I was asking, we got to get Justin Harmon back in here, and you can't take him out. Like, the way that they came out in the second half, it felt like you needed Harmon to be out there, and he came out there, and I don't think he left the court. He ended up playing 31 minutes. So, Ty Rodgers is a game guy. Like, it depends on the matchup, I think. And tonight, it was a decent matchup. And in the second half, even though he didn't score nearly as much as he did in the first half, he did rebound. He did distribute the ball pretty well. So once this guy can find a jump shot, man, I don't know. Like, I don't know how much you can practice it, but there were a few times I felt like even at the free throw line, I would have been okay if he, in the flow of the offense had taken a free throw line jumper. Just didn't. He just doesn't have the confidence to do it. So it is something that worries me, but he was a lot better tonight and a big part of why they won. So, thankfully there is only one Zach Edey, right? So, what else? Brad Underwood on Coleman Hawkins shooting. Everyone's starting to see that Coleman is a really, really good shooter. And I mean, yeah, when he's in rhythm, when he gets a rhythm shot from three, he's been very good over the last month and a half. So he's definitely playing up the draft stock. You want to talk about TSJ and him putting himself into a lottery pick? If all this stuff that's happened wasn't a thing, Coleman Hawkins over the last month and a half has really, in my opinion, improved his draft stock. He has done a lot of things that has reminded me of a player like a Kevin Durant. He's a similar type player. He's long, can defend almost any player on the court, athletic, and he can shoot. And he's like 6'10". So all I can think of is Kevin Durant, right? I'm not saying he is Kevin Durant or even trying to compare to him to Kevin Durant, but like similar body, right? He's able to play and center and guard the biggest guy for the other team while also being able to bring the ball up the court in transition and, make the right pass. They got a steal, I think maybe it was early second half, got a steal. And I think it was between him and Marcus Domask doing the old classic pass back and forth to each other on the way down, 2-on-1 fast break. And he made the right plays in transition to get Illinois a basket. And I think Domask ended up getting like his first bucket. That was actually, now that I think of it, it was probably the first half because I think he went to halftime with 2 points and that was his 2 points. But he just, this game was, like, if you go and look at the tape and you look at what he does so well, he's able to stay in front of almost any guard that Michigan State had, and he just made an impact all over the court. He had 4 blocks, whether it was from chasing down someone or just coming over on a rotation and putting his hands up and being able to get a block shot that way too. He was all over the place, and he's definitely improving his draft stock. If in my opinion, I don't know where he currently sits on mock draft boards or whatever, but to me, he's because of Terrence Shannon being out, you're starting to see the pros of what he can be as a professional once his collegiate career is done. So, all right, we're about a half hour in. We can go around the Big Ten real quick before we get out of here. Like I said, Maryland beat Michigan 64-71 or not 61, 64-57. Maryland beat Michigan tonight. Last night, Wisconsin did beat Ohio State, and Northwestern bounced back they now won 2 straight. They went on the road, beat Penn State. So Northwestern, after the loss to Illinois, has now won 2 in a row. Ohio State, major opportunity to pick up ground in the Big Ten and give Wisconsin their first loss. They lose by 11 at home. To me, a bad loss for Ohio State, but we'll see how they respond. I still think they're probably a tournament team. So, as we sit here in the standings, I kind of read them earlier, but Michigan State now 1-4 in conference. Like, I keep waiting for them. To, get to where they always are. Like, again, this was a preseason top 5 team. Going into the first night of the college basketball season, they were a top 5 team in the country. They lost to James Madison, who it turns out is not going to look like a bad loss on their resume. But I don't know. The Spartans need to get it going, man. Being 1-4 in this bad Big Ten is not great. The Michigan schools are not great. They're tied with Michigan, 1-4 in conference. Rutgers, not great. They've not been good. Iowa, 1-3. Both them and Rutgers are 1-3 in conference. It's not pretty. Both 9-6. Iowa can't win a game on the road, and neither can Rutgers. Penn State's scrappy, but first-year coach Mike Rhodes from VCU. They've had some moments, but you can't sleep on them. But I don't believe in them. Maryland 2-3 in conference. Ohio State 2-3 in conference. Indiana and Purdue both 3-2. Nebraska 3-2 in conference. Indiana, I think they lost to Rutgers this week or in their recent game. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Indiana. I don't think they're good. That's all I got. I don't think they're good. And Northwestern 3-1, Minnesota 3-1, Illinois 3-1. So 3 teams tied for second in the Big Ten, game back from Wisconsin. I mentioned Wisconsin's schedule on the preview show yesterday. Dude, Illinois just got to keep winning to keep pace with Wisconsin. And I think they can do it. They got Maryland on Sunday. Not going to be able to do a preview show, so we'll do post game. We'll try and do a live stream. Maybe not, just because I know the NFL will be on, and so most people will probably be watching that with Illinois as like their second viewing. So we'll see. But either way, we'll be doing post game for Illinois Maryland on Sunday afternoon here on my YouTube channel. So yeah. If you're new here, man, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on my channel. We just surpassed 250 subscribers this week. And I don't know, I had like 100 going into the college basketball season before I started consistently doing this. So, we've gained about 150 some subscribers over the last, I don't know, month and a half. So I appreciate everyone who has subscribed and shown their support. It doesn't go unnoticed for me. So here's to hoping that Illinois keeps playing well so we can keep having fun doing this. In the link in my YouTube description also has the podcast. If you listen to it like audio, it's just on Spotify. If that's how you want to listen to it, you can go there as well. So again, I appreciate everyone for hanging out here late on a Thursday night. TSJ, Terrence Shannon Jr., has his federal court hearing tomorrow. I think I'm gonna be at Cubs convention, and also like Shota Imanaga is being introduced by the Cubs at like 2 p.m. and opening ceremonies are at 5 p.m. So I don't know when the news related to TSJ will come out, but I will try to get a reaction video up at least at some point on my YouTube channel. So look out for that. Again, just hit that subscribe button. And you'll be able to get it. I don't know where I'm going to do it, and I don't know when I'm going to do it, but it'll be up there. So, intrigued to see how that decision comes out. I think tonight you could kind of see what Illinois has missed without TSJ, and that's just from a basketball perspective. You can tell that they're still a really good team without him, but man, with him, I think they could be a national title contender. So we'll see. I don't know. And I'm not here to tell you if he should or shouldn't be here or not, but it's going to be an interesting decision tomorrow. So I think it's at like 1:30 is that hearing. So we'll be following that news. Got a busy sports weekend. So we'll try and do as much as I can for all y'all. But yeah. Again, thank you all for checking out the From Beyond The Paign podcast. It's an Illinois basketball podcast, and I appreciate you all for hanging out. And as always, when I get out of here, ILL.